a lot of people who, myself included, get very emotional around various topics. It just seems like when you start to talk about a topic that affects you personally, it's like it's like a great big boulder at the top of the hill, and you just need a little push to set it rolling. And once it starts rolling, it's a hill, and it's going to go down the hill and pick up speed. And that's what I feel like when I start talking about various topics that are really, really emotionally charged. So, I mean, is it a judgment that you shouldn't do this? Well, after I do a video and I look back and I say, what I'm expressing here are valid points, I'm just wondering if perhaps I have ruined the whole video because I've put a lot of emotion into the video, and people are going to say, well, he's triggered, like he's triggered and he's on a rant, and they may be going to discount what I have to say because it maybe sounds like somebody who's on the fringe of becoming irrational. And then I got to figure, well, I mean, if I do this, how many other people do this? But I catch myself doing this quite a bit. And normally I'm a pretty, chill person, but I get on certain topics and I really just seem to be that boulder that's picking up steam going down the hill. So I guess the question is why? And it's always based upon the feeling that I am being attacked. So what is my I that is being attacked? It's my freedom. It's my personal freedom that's being attacked. So when I talk about huge amounts of government waste and increases on taxes, it's all an attack on my pocketbook, which for me is a symbol of personal freedom, because if I don't have any money, I can't do anything in this society. So definitely it's an attack on my personal freedom. What other things? Uh, well, it's it's also, if you self-identify with various groups and you have other that really put a stink eye on certain groups that you self-identify with, that is a personal attack. Now, is it actually an attack, or is it just your perception of an attack? If you're going to talk about this, you have to understand that from anyone's personal perspective, their perception is their reality. Would my arguments be more useful if I could take the emotion out of them? Yes. Yes, I think in a lot of ways they would be. But I also think among certain people, showing emotion means that you really care. I that So it's a double-edged sword. If you just express facts neutrally, it might get caught in the clutter. Whereas if you've got emotion, I mean, that's why people go and watch a lot of movies, because actors are very good at emoting. And it's what makes it seem real in today's world. we are going to have to examine emotion in our personal space and on a global level. Because being caught up by emotion can drag people in the wrong direction. Do we need emotions? I'm not going to be able to tell you. All I know is that if you watch yourself react to others and when you're talking, if you seem to have a lot of emotion, just watch it and see where this emotion wants to bring you. Is it bringing you together with the other people? Which may or may not be a good thing, because if it's bringing you towards other people's views that you don't like, then it's like a form of brainwashing. A lot of anxiety, as I've said, has to do with people doing what's known as people pleasing, going along to get along. Sometimes when you're having a discussion or even an argument, you're not listening to what the other person has to say. And, they're talking and you're not listening. You've already got your next thought in your head about what you want to present because it's an amazing point and it has to be presented. And, so you're not listening to the other person. And quite often you rationalize it and said, well, I've already heard what this other person has said. And I don't want to hear it again. I mean, I've heard it ad nauseum. I'm trying to get my point across. And so these conversations are useless. I'm sure you've all had them. It's like you hear yourself repeat the same thing that you've said a million times, and the other person repeats themselves the same way, and you don't seem to be moving. And I'd rather be on the golf course, listening to the birds than repeating these same talking points. And this is what it's like, on the news. It's like the different political parties give their talking points and they always try to stay on point. Most interesting thing about that is when one of these people forgets to stick to their talking points and they start talking from their heart and you start to hear, what they truly believe. There was some research done years ago that said that if you took a recording of someone talking and played it backwards, you could understand what they really, really meant. The most famous example of that is playing Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven backwards. But at one time there was an app that you could use to play things backwards. And some people had studied politicians, and it was just like Led Zeppelin. They kept getting things like Lucifer and Satan. So, I mean, are there really Satanists here that are running the world? Yes, there are. Why do I say that? It's because they're very, very negative towards humanity. You cannot come to any other conclusion based upon the way this world is. And then everything else falls into line with these worldviews. And, I just give you banksterism, militarism, capitalism. These things are all they're all signs that our world is not cherishing individual humans for just being human. Humans on this planet are treated like chattel. Chattel means, furniture. You are to be used. And what are you going to be used for? Well, you're going to be used to do whatever the boss wants. And is the boss's organization good for humanity? Or is it like a split decision where maybe they provide some services to humanity while the boss and his backers grab more and more for themselves? That's all I got. I'm Harry Weaver. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and click the little bell on YouTube if you want notifications. On YouTube, we're InfiniteBob99, and on Instagram, we're Burrows Bobby.